Today we're going to be talking about conditions and if statements. But first, we're going to be talking about conditions. So let's go. All right. So I have 4 questions for all of you guys, and I want you to answer them all in your head right now. So the first question is mint chocolate your favorite flavor of ice cream? Question 2, do you have any siblings? Question 3, is CS Club the best club at SJAM? And we're going to skip this one because the answer is yes. And question 4, are you an SJAM student?
All right.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
So the big idea here is that those are all yes/no questions. And computer programmers use the words true for yes and false for no. And you're able to ask the computer true/false questions in a computer program. So let's hop onto some coding examples. We'll wait for, do you want me to stream the thing? Okay. All right. So you guys can follow along on REPL if you want, but Keagan's going to be using VS Code. All right, so like I just mentioned, you're able to ask the computer true/false questions in code. So we're going to go through a couple of examples of what are called conditional operators. The first one is the equal equals operator, and let's just print 1 equals equals 1. And if you guys look at the output at the bottom, it turns out that 1 is equal to 1. So in a computer program, we usually ask these sort of mathematical yes/no questions to the computer. And in this case, we did 1 equals equals 1, but usually you'd be comparing variables to some number or some string. You can do it with strings too. So let's try high equals equals high. Still true, which means that high is equal to high. All right. So the operator for
Do you
checking,
think REPL would be better? I mean, I can switch.
it's up to you.
Or is this fine?
In REPL, we can both we can like share the project, so we can both type on it.
Ah, okay. Do you want to do that?
Was it REPL able to work for you?
I was just being kind of slow.
I think it's okay going on like this.
Fine.
Yeah, let's keep
Fair
going.
enough.
All right, the next one we'll talk about is the exclamation marks equals sign. So what this conditional operator does is if 2 values on both sides aren't the same, then it returns true. And if the 2 values are the same, then the computer says false. So let's try an example. So let's try 1 doesn't equal 2, or yeah, high doesn't. Yeah, anything works. So is 1 not equal to 2? The answer is yes. How about is 1 not equal to 2?
Not equal to 2.
All right. The next one we'll talk about are the greater than and less than signs, which are just these arrows on your keyboard. If you look at the comma and the period, you can just press Shift and click on those to get these. So let's try 1 is less than 2. Ta-da! And 1 is less than 2. And the other way around works too. So let's try 1 is greater than 2. which is false. Okay, and then we're able to combine the greater than and less than signs with the equals equals sign by doing the greater than equals or the less than and equals. And we'll find out why these are important when we start using variables. So yeah, let's check if 1 is greater than or equal to 2. Yeah, the answer is no. Yep. And the same thing the other way around. So you would just switch the direction of the arrow. Sorry, I hope I didn't make any of you blind from that. Okay, I'll change the indent size to 4 also. Is everyone in? All right, so we're going to be talking about the Boolean operators. And the word Boolean, it's really weird. It's named after a guy who was called Boole. So, let's see.
Booleans, if you guys need to know, Booleans,
Boole.
it's a type, so it's just the true and the
Whoa.
false.
It auto-corrected Boole to open. Anyways, basically true or false. These two things are Booleans. And you can have a variable that's set to a Boolean. So basically what happened when we printed something like 1 is equal to 1, we saw that Python printed true, even though we didn't type the string true. And that's because what all these conditional statements evaluate to is that they evaluate to a Boolean, which is either true or false. All right, so let's talk about and, or, and not. Let's comment that out. So, like Kevin mentioned before, and or not are just like connectors for Boolean statements. So let's see an example. And Python is made to be like really close to English. So this should be pretty clear. So let's see not 1 equals 1. And I think there should be braces here, which is false. What happened here is that the not operator flips the Boolean value. And basically what that means in English is that if there's a true, not turns it into a false. And there's a false, not turns into a true. All right.
So it's basically saying if this is not true, then we'll evaluate it true.
Yep. One of the big advantages of Python is like it's almost like English, which is why it's so nice. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is or. So quick pop quiz. Answer this in your head. What does 1 double equals 2 evaluate to? Okay, the answer was false because 1 isn't equal to 2, right? So what or does is you put a conditional statement on either side of the or, and then I don't think you actually need parentheses here. If the one on the left or the one on the right is equal to true, then the or just evaluates to true. So we can see that 1 is not equal to 2, but 1 is equal to 1. Which means that this prints true. Here, I'll write this here. Not 1 equals 1. And the last one we need to worry about is and. So same deal. 1 equals 2 and 1 equals 1. And what and does is if the conditional statement on the left and the conditional statements on the right are equal to true, then it turns to true. But if one of them is false, then the and evaluates the false. So false, true, false. And for or, you can have both of them be true, and it still be true. The only time or is false is when both of them are false. So false, false, false. And with and is only true when both of them are true. So 1 equals 1 and 1 equals 1 are both true. So we got false, false, true. And if both of them are false, it's the same thing, where and evaluates the false.
All right, and just before you wrap up, we can also show that it's these operators. You can like combine them together into like you can do like 3 statements as well.
Right. So what Kevin's saying there is that this entire thing we called this one part, this like part, a conditional statement. But this entire thing is also a conditional statement. So what we can do is that we can link them together even more. So
And the
something
reason
like
why we do brackets is kind of like math, if you think about it that way, about how we need to like
there's an order of operations.
Yeah.
I'll detail that in a bit. So let's see this. I think not is okay to go here. So if 1 is equal to 2 or 1 is equal to 3 and 1 is not equal to 3, that's what this evaluates to. And the challenge question here is this true or false?
I guess we'll give